Well, we had some big news over the last week or so with a ton of these live service games or games as a service titles shutting down, or at least announcing their intentions to shut down over the next couple of months. And this is something that I figured would happen eventually, and we kind of get to that breaking point for a lot of these games and even companies as they start to realize that the market is becoming saturated, and it's leaving some of these publishers in a very weird spot, to the point where we're seeing even some of like the single player experience they're trying to tie in getting canceled in development, and a lot of uncertainty going forward. And I wanted to talk about that here today. So if you guys enjoy the video, make sure you like it and subscribe down below if you're new. And let's just go over some of the games that have announced their intention to shut down here. And many of these were made over the last 7 days. It got ugly there for the live service sector. But Apex Legends Mobile and Battlefield Mobile both got announced by EA at the same time. Apex Legends Mobile is a game that's already out, but Battlefield Mobile was still in development. They had like a beta that they were running, and I guess EA looked at the numbers and said it didn't make sense to even continue its development and really polish the game for release. They just axed it before it even got out the door. And I'm a little surprised that Apex Legends Mobile wasn't making enough money for it to make sense to continue on, because that's the biggest thing with a lot of these live service titles. It comes down to the interest that they can keep and monthly active users that are actually spending money in these titles. So then we look at things like Knockout City, which I did try Knockout City early on when it first came out. I thought it was a unique idea. Is dodgeball, like basically an arena dodgeball shooter kind of game, and it was different, but it wasn't compelling enough for me to go back constantly. And that's the biggest thing with these live service games, is they want you to constantly come back every day, every week, over and over again, to do these different quests and just keep up to date on all of the little tasks they're giving you, so that you keep getting better and better cosmetics or currencies or these different things. They want you to always be engaged and always thinking about their game. Rumbleverse, that's shutting down. That didn't make it 6 or 7 months. It didn't make it half a year before they said, nah, you know what? This is Epic Games and Iron Galaxy. Nah, it's just not working. We're out. And I tried that one early on too, and it was like a fighting wrestling battle royale game. The part that's most memorable to me was suplexing somebody off of this massive building onto the ground. That was kind of cool. But otherwise, I was like, I think after an hour, I got my fill. Meta also shut down a couple of games, Echo VR, and I noticed quite a bit of pushback for this one. Apparently, it is a popular multiplayer game with the Meta Quest, and this is from Ready at Dawn, which people tend to forget that Ready at Dawn was purchased by Meta. And their multiplayer game now getting shut down, which, that is rough, because Ready at Dawn, I kind of think about what they could be doing right now with Sony, and here's Meta making sure that their game is no longer supported, even though apparently the community really enjoys the game. Apparently it's one of the better multiplayer games on the Meta Quest. And Crata, which is a game creation platform. Never heard of it, but it's been around for a little over 2 years now, and I guess it's mentioned that there are 50 developers who are working to maintain it, and you start adding the numbers up, and it doesn't necessarily make sense when it comes to the cost. Even mobile games, you're seeing those struggle a bit with Dragon Quest. Yeah, Heroes Bonds, that getting shut down. So the fact that we're also seeing mobile games, which come and go, I see mobile games get shut down all the time after a certain length of time. It could be even 5 or 6 years, but sometimes you'll see a game get shut down after a year, and that's in a sector where there's so much saturation, but there's also a ton of customers. I mean, think about how many people immediately have access to your free-to-play title on the Google Play Store or iOS. And then, of course, we had Babylon's Fall. That, I believe, is shutting down completely this month. And then Marvel's Avengers, that will still remain up for multiplayer and single player, but the main development studio behind it, Crystal Dynamics, is moving on to, I guess, do something else, and they don't really want to put the resources into coming up with new cosmetics or instances or DLC to support it. And then there was a game called Crime Site. Never heard of it. I looked it up. It's a game from Konami that was on Steam, and it lasted like 5 months or something. Not very long. So that one's out. And then Crossfire X. This is weird. It getting completely delisted from Xbox. Even the single-player side that was done by Remedy in the Northlight engine. So I don't know what happened there, but yeah, that one didn't make it very long either. It's not like it was a very good game, and I'm not going to miss it. It's just something I thought I'd throw in here because it was notable. Now, part of the report that came along with all the stuff from EA, with Apex Legends Mobile and Battlefield Mobile being shut down, there were talks about Titanfall Legends, which was going to be this single-player experience that was going to cross over the Apex Legends and the Titanfall universe that a lot of people have speculated is already like one universe completely as it is. But apparently that didn't make it out of development for a number of reasons. It was described by Jeff Grubb as issues with management, leadership, developers moving in and out of Respawn. But I did notice it was also brought up when it comes to the money side of things, as in, will this single-player game be able to bring in enough money as basically an expansion for Apex Legends to make sense, right? And that's the biggest thing now is, if you're a company who becomes accustomed to the numbers that a successful live service game can do, any of these single-player games that have that initial purchase price and that's it's not going to look as enticing as being able to sell cosmetics, skins, battle passes, all these extra things that add up to, at times, hundreds of millions of dollars without having to create a brand new title. I mean, we heard that Ubisoft, who is struggling pretty badly right now, had over 10 Battle Royale games in development that they were just trying so hard to figure out this Battle Royale genre because, again, the money is enticing enough for these companies to have 9 that fail, but if you just get that 1 out of the 10, you're in business. It'll make up all the money there, but what if none of them hit? Then you're left in a really bad financial position. And if you look around currently, I'm hoping that this might be a bit of a wake-up call for some of these publishers and developers, that maybe the live service genre as it currently is, which to me, there's a few reasons why this isn't working. One, the saturation of the market is incredible. These games want you to constantly be playing. They don't necessarily measure on sales of a game. They measure on monthly active users, and then obviously the amount of revenue they're bringing in from those users. So when you have 5 different live service games from your own studio or something, and you're trying to introduce all of them, support all of them, you're kind of telling the player that you have to basically pick one because we want you signed in at all times, or at least checking in every single day, and there's just not enough time to go around then. Also, there's an inability to stand out completely. The Fortnite aesthetic seems to just bleed over to a lot of these games, but also they just feel very cookie cutter. All right, like you go into a live service game like a Rumbleverse or a Knockout City, and you understand there's going to be a bunch of different currencies. They'll name it some weird thing that plays into the theme of the game. There's a battle pass system. It all feels very much in line and samey, and that was kind of the problem I would run into, is it became very fatiguing for a new live service game that I'd played an hour of, because it felt like I had played for days just because it felt so much like the previous 6 or 7 that I had checked out. And then chasing these trends in a world where development of these different games take 3, 4, 5 years even, by the time your game comes out, most likely that trend has been completely played out. And now you're scrambling, trying to figure out what to do with a game that you poured all this money and time into. And a lot of times, well, you see what happens. It gets shut down after just 6 months. And I do believe there are going to be some publishers and developers that kind of stick with it, trying to get that next Fortnite or the next Apex Legends or Call of Duty Warzone. Like Sony, for example, is still developing live service games. They had mentioned 10 before. I feel like something like Gran Turismo 7 is a live service game to them, just as an example. It's always online. It has its own currency that you can buy into, and then you buy different cars and all of that. So I believe Sony still has like another 8 or so live service games to introduce, and according to them, the live service games that they will be introducing, the revenue generated there is going to work to fund single-player experiences, the games that are costing upwards of $200 million. Well, the money's going to come from those ongoing success stories with the games as a service genre. But from what I'm seeing here, what if Sony is introducing these live service games, and rather than coming up with Call of Duty Warzone, they end up with a Destruction All-Stars, and the multiplayer game ends up losing them money? Because then it seems like a lot of it would be backfiring on them, and they could be in a very bad position. So I'm hoping Sony in general has some very unique and original ideas. Like The Last of Us multiplayer, that's clearly going to be one of their live service games. I think there's a lot of potential for that to be good and be an ongoing supported live service game that makes money. I think the Horizon multiplayer could be something similar, as it's probably going to be closer to, I believe, like a Monster Hunter game. And there have also been talks that they might try to get it on mobile even. At least that's kind of what's being thrown around. We'll see about that. But as long as Sony is able to come up with interesting and unique ideas that stand out and don't feel like they're cookie cutter with a lot of these Fortnite-like games, and maybe they work to innovate things when it comes to the Battle Pass and the 18 different currencies I'm sure they'll try to have, they could, I think, find success in a sector of gaming right now that is really struggling. But I guess we'll see as we go along. The next 4 or 5 years should be very telling on Sony's side with the games as a service. For me, though, I've been watching this whole thing play out, and I kind of figured we'd get to a breaking point where we would see a lot of these games as a service titles just come to an end and shut down. Some happened a lot faster than I thought. It seems like games like Rumbleverse didn't have a long runway with cash, and they just cut their losses a bit quicker than I was expecting. So, hey, I'm hoping this is a wake-up call and we get back to just games being regular games and not having to be these ongoing experiences. However, as these games get more and more expensive to create, they got to figure out where to get money from somewhere, so I can kind of understand why, rather than take risks, they would be much more safe. You'd see more sequels and things that are a bit more carefully planned out, rather than taking a big risk with a brand new IP or entry into a genre that a studio maybe isn't familiar with. But let me know what you guys think about all of this down below, with the games as a service sector not having a great week with a lot of games shutting down. What do you think this means for the future of gaming? Thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.